Here we are today, playing with the LB7 Duramax. As you can see, my truck's in the background. It has quite a bit going on right now. I'm soon to actually will be starting to pray that I can remember where all these bolts go, because I'm in the middle of a CP3 job. I have it out. I have the other one, the good one, ready to go in, and I just kind of want to point out a couple things that everybody needs to know before they start to attempt this. If it's their pump just went out and you want to try it, you're like deciding, should I have a shop do it? Should I do it myself? I will say it's probably a full weekend job, maybe 3 or 4 days. If it's your first time under the hood of a Duramax, or you haven't really done any real wrenching before, because it is quite involved, and I can understand why a shop will charge you 8 to 10 hours of labor now to do this, because it is quite involved. Lots of screws, lots of bolts, lots of hoses, the fuel lines come out. It's just a lot to do, because under the hood of a Duramax there's so much stuff going on compared to other engines, and even gases are simple compared to this. So I just want to point this out. Down here I had to move this fuel thing, this hose, supply hose. Really easy though. It's just one screw and lifts up. If this is sitting in its spot, the pump will hit this, so this has to come out. This little guy can stay in place though, which is good because it's a hard line. Let's see, down below, I did not take off, I took off the alternator bracket. I did not take off the main bridge, or the water pump bridge, coolant bridge I mean. I did not take off the the AC bracket, power steering pump, that area. I was able to get the 4 bolts, maybe you'll be able to see them, I'm not sure. One down there, one up there, over straight back, and down here, this one. This is the only difficult one to get. You have to, this is why I removed the alternator bracket. You have to loosen up this little guy right here, just so you can take a screwdriver and push this back a smidge, so you can get this out. This bolt won't ever come out unless you pull this away, but that's fine. It doesn't need to come fully out. The only way to get back there that I found was, it's a 12 millimeter, and I needed to use one of these extensions right here. It's a wobble extension. Allows you a little bit of flex. Like, look at this one. Allows you just a little bit of flex versus a lot of bit of flex if you have it near the end. But that little bit is absolutely necessary, and it will not fit, from my experience, in a 3/8 size. You must use a 1/4 inch drive with a wobble on a 12. And I combined with pushing it, the little coolant pipe away just a smidge, it's enough to get in there, get it out, and I'll be able to get it back in too. Otherwise, this whole coolant, I don't even know the term for that, would have to come out, but that's a lot of pain in the butt that I just didn't want to deal with, so I'm glad I was able to get it. This truck does have 355,000 miles. I'm fairly sure that pump was stock that I pulled out. As you can see here, it's got like nastiness and rust all over it. This is my one I'm putting in. I reused my pressure regulator since I only had 800 miles on it, and it's a new unit, new Bosch unit. So I'm going to reuse that. Everything else, I got new O-rings. Everything else is also used. You must transfer this bracket. As you can see here, it covers roughly where that rust is. But you must transfer that bracket, and it's held on by one of these screws right here, and there's 3 of them around. You can see where it threads in right there. And there's a couple other ones, one more down there. But you get them from the back side, these big bolt things right here, they're all 12s. This is a used pump. It seems good from what the fuel that when I've spun it, it shot out fuel. So I think it should be good. I got it used at a really good price from a guy on the forums, and I'm gonna have to take his word for it for right now. So I hope it's good. I'm balling on the budget at the moment, so I couldn't afford a new pump. But I don't know how long I'm going to have this truck. Might be gone next week. So it's not worth a ton of money with the miles, even if I put a bunch of new stuff in it. People are scared of mileage on vehicles, so I didn't want to go with a new pump just in case I sold it. And to be honest, that would have wrecked my current budget for what I'm trying to do this summer really. And so hopefully this thing will get me up and running. But let me put that in. You do have to slightly curve the pump to drop it in there, counterclockwise, aka towards the passenger side. Okay, so you'll be able to watch me do it. So if it's the gears facing me when I put it in, I'll take the fuel nipples and I'll turn them towards the passenger side a smidge, drop it down in there, then I'll straighten it back out and slide it in. To get it out, the best way was to take two huge screwdrivers, two flatheads, stick one down this side, one down this side, and slowly pry each one out like this. And then I had the oil fill tube out, and every now and then I'd stick a crowbar or something large and a hammer on the end and kind of bump the nut that way to try to get the bottom out so it comes out evenly. And combined with that, a couple tugs on the screwdrivers, a couple bumps, eventually I was able to get it. I was in there really good though. 350,000 miles though. Not surprising that it is in there so tight. But yeah, so let's see if I can get this all back together. It's it might be a process because I might have to remember where everything went, but we're gonna give it a go. I took out more than what most people do because I'm replacing these hoses because some of these are like a rock. So I just spent some money getting new lines too, new fuel lines, all these fuel hard lines. Some of them are rusty, so they're going in too. Let's see here. Now if you look down here, I did have to remove these two studs. See how there's some studs over here? I did have to remove both those to come out. Do it just like this right here. Two nuts, tighten them together, getting it out. And I'll have to do the same thing to put them back in, but these had to come out. At least for me, I couldn't figure out a way to get the thing out of there without removing those. It's just that tight in there. And there we go, we're in. Now I just gotta slide it back. Alright, so that's how it went in. You see how I had turned it a little bit this way towards the passenger side, and that got the job done. Now I just gotta pull it forward, throw in my 4 bolts, and then I can become reassembling everything else that's seemingly a lot right now to reassemble, but I'll get it done. Okay, pump's in. As you can see, it's firmly in. The bolts have been done, all of them. Torqued to 15 foot-pounds on the front, so that's good. I put the studs back in already. I got one hose on that was basically new, so I'm not replacing it. This guy I can tighten down now. Next up is these hoses right here. These EGR things are definitely probably the original hose because they are like plastic. They do not move at all. So I bought this hose, I think I bought that one too. We'll see if I actually can get to that one to pull it off. And then the only reason I'm doing that is because I had to really bend my fuel line, the main return, the big squirrely one that goes all over to the back. I had to bend it to get it out. So I was like, well, this has got to come off anyway. In my opinion, I was like, I might as well replace it. Unfortunately, I paid dealer price for a basic hose. Clearly you don't have to do that, but for whatever reason I felt the need to buy dealer parts. I went cheap on the pump with the used one, but I'm getting some good hoses and some new lines, so I'm buying all the new fuel lines. These are what's going on my truck that's new. As you can see here are the old lines. Basically all the hard lines I'm replacing. I gotta pull this thing off and transfer it. But here are these new hoses that I'm putting on. I've got one fuel hose. These three are the EGR hoses, or the whatever hoses. These are my new fuel lines. This one is the one that I had to mangle, as you can tell. I mean, it ain't even close to the right shape anymore. To get out without doing this hose, I thought I could do it, couldn't. So now I gotta cut the hose. I'm not gonna put a really old hose back on there again. I got a new main fuel return line because this one I was seeing rust particles in my fuel filter, and it looks like they were actually, rust was only collecting around this little bit right here, like the last inch. The rest of it looks clean in there, but you know, as you know, our fuel systems are sketchy, are very particular. So I was like, I'll just get a new one. Like I said, these parts aren't cheap. I got them from I think GM Discount Online or one of those GM websites, and so I got them a little bit cheaper. Even so, for what you see right here, it was still like 200 bucks. And then I got so I'm gonna put these on. It's gonna look great. I bought a new one of these. One, because I bent it. Two, because it was getting really rusty by the turbo, the part that sits right by the turbo. And this was rusty on the inside. And these, for good measure, I was like, shoot, I'll just do them all if I'm doing two. So got them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one return. 4 high pressure, 1 return. These are gonna go on my truck, and hopefully I'll definitely, if there was any leaks, they aren't gonna be there no more. My used pump is a used pump, it ain't gonna last forever. I'll have to be in there again, but next time the hose should come off pretty easily because it's gonna be nice, soft, and rubbery. And yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, Y-bridge, still stock, didn't touch it, but I got fresh gaskets, cleaned up those surfaces, and this hose is on. As you can see, this is all a brand new hose. I used brand new spring clips. I bought them in a pack of 5, and let me tell you, when they're new, they are a beautiful thing. You just slide them on the hose, put them however you position them easily, however you want, and then pop it up and they're done. And I think I might be doing that in the future. If I ever need to get more, I'll just cut the hose, get new clips, and pop. It'll be real quick. For right now, this is going on next. It's gonna go like that, and then after this I can start putting my fuel lines back on. The reason why I'm doing this before my fuel lines, because to do this, to get to these backside ones, you can't have your fuel lines in the way. There's just too much going on, and it's even going to be convenient now having this loose and free that I can wiggle that up and out of the way during this time. Clean out your valley, obviously. I mean, my engine, I don't know how much longer it's going to last, to be honest. It's got a good bit of blow by. So I cleaned it up as best I could with a rag. Don't have a shop vac here at work, but I mean, it's a lot better than it was. A lot less leaves and dirt and oil and stuff. Must have had fuel leaking out of my thing, because there's a good chunk of, or maybe out of the turbo, I don't know. But there's a good bit of oil and fuel and other stuff in there. So this truck definitely didn't have much maintenance done to it in the past life. The life of this truck, I did a lot to it since I got it, and whoever owns this after me will probably appreciate all the new parts underneath the hood of this, just for ease of maintenance, future maintenance anyway. So I'm gonna put this Y-bridge back on, and then I'll start on the fuel. This is where we're at right now. Next is I just did all the fuel. So new feed hose. Haven't hooked up the lines yet, but I will. I got all my high pressure lines snug, new whatever those little gasket thingers are called, and I'm gonna tighten down all the banjo bolts and the FPRV right there. For those who don't know, on your junction block right here is your FPRV on the LB7. Basically now, oh, that hose is out. Probably should put that down. Okay, I'll move that clamp here in a second. And then once I hook up those two, my fuel system in theory is back intact. Apparently I had like one of my thermostats decided to be weird, so I gotta go get one of those before I can put it back together fully. But I mean, I got my turbo horn, my elbow in turbo elbow, in the whole intake. I got this tube right here. I got this tube over here. Gotta connect. I'll connect all the wires back there before I put this on, and then some coolant. Oh, and I gotta do the alternator bracket right here. But really, I mean, it's getting to the end, so I'm happy that I'm almost done, because the dealership or the service place wants $1,000 in labor, roughly, to do this. At least the one I went to. And I don't know why now. It's no fun doing a CP3. It's a lot of bending over, and it's just not an enjoyable thing to do on a vehicle. But it's got to be done sometimes. Hopefully once every, I don't know, 250,000 miles. So one time in the life of your truck. We're getting there. All the wiring's hooked up again. I just gotta bolt down the glow plug controller. Things left to do: bolt up glow plug controller, connect that ground, alternator, the main belt, the air intake, the tubing for the intercoolers, and then add coolant and batteries. And in theory, it should start if the problem was the CP3, which I believe it was. So I guess we'll find out. If nothing else, I have a lot of new parts there now, so at least it looks better too. Okay, we should be good. Got it all back together. I just gotta put on the belt real quick and connect the batteries, and then if I did my homework right, we should have a running vehicle. So here's my old pump. I'm gonna sell it. I'm sure somebody wants it to send in as a core and get their $200 or whatever, and I'm probably just gonna sell it for $75 or $100, just whatever locally someone wants to give me. But yeah, this is it. There's a lot to this motor, guys. This is not for the average shade tree mechanic. There's just there's a lot going on on a Duramax engine. There's just so many wires. The way they have it set up with the center mount turbo. Hope I never have to change the turbo. That would be awful. This thing, it's a good engine. I mean, it won 2001, 2002 Motor Trend Engine of the Year or something like that. It won some engine award those first 2 years. So it's a good engine. The only complaint with this engine is the injectors, but even that has its perks, being under the valve covers. If you're from the rust belt, this stuff will never get rusty, so that's out, in a way, a good thing. But yeah, a lot going on. Strong motor though, so I'm hoping to get it back and up and running. Right now she's good to go. Everything is buttoned up except for the front cover. I haven't put that on yet, but everything's buttoned up. Batteries in. I got my Kennedy diesel fuel pressure gauge at the front port. Right now it's sitting at 2.5 psi. On the low pressure side, I'll pump it up to 10, and it's looks like it's holding pretty good, so that's good too. I already bled a little bit out from over here. Let's pump this up to 10, or to 7.5 at least. Okay, is that max for my gauge? There's probably a little bit of air in there, which I didn't bleed. I bled it at the port, but I didn't bleed it at the front test port. I bled it at the filter. So I wiped that up because I hate oil spilling, or hate fuel spilling down. Alright, so you see it's already coming down. Slowly but surely. It's not leaking at my thing right there, so that's good. It's definitely coming down slowly, but that means there's air somewhere in it. Let's pump it up again. Let's give it a couple cranks. So unfortunately for me, my only diagnostic tool has been my little scan gauge 2 that I got at AutoZone for 150, or no, it was advanced for 150. The reason why I changed the pump is that this was holding nowhere near desired fuel pressure, and the balance rate test for the this will do balance rates too. The balance rate test wasn't the best. I had 3 that were between 3 and 3.5, so those are getting there, but still wasn't maintaining pressure at all. Like, it was commanding 15,000 psi and giving 4, and only actual is 4. So I had a lot of problems. I blame the pump. We'll see if my accusations were correct. I did have a diesel shop, paid them to diagnose it as well, and they were like, we don't know, we assume the pump, so that's what we changed first, and we'd go from there. So I was like, wow, that sounds like it could be a lot of money. I'm gonna do it myself. That way if I have more problems, at least I didn't spend money on something that's not the problem. So, or at least labor on something that's not the problem. Alright, we got 12 volts. Alright, here's desired actual. Desires 6,000 psi right now. Let's see how much we get. Wow! That's awesome! Right on the money. Voltage is climbing back up. I've never had this truck start that easily before. That's a beautiful thing. Alright, so I gotta grab a little bit more coolant, but otherwise this should be good to go. As you can see, on a stock system, if I read all the stuff online right, 2 inches of vacuum on a truck with no pump, no lift pump, that's a sign that there's no leaks and the CP3 is healthy, so that's a good sign. I think it's supposed to go up to 4 or 5 inches under acceleration, but I don't remember. So that's interesting. What I am disappointed in right now is that the LEDs that I wired in, apparently I didn't do it right because they ain't working. So apparently I got to redo that. But otherwise we're good.